Hello, good morning, and welcome to Morning Has Broken and I Don't Want to Fix It. This is Eric Lehman, and I'm excited to share with you today. It is, in fact, morning, so I'm excited that I'm sort of getting back to a morning schedule. Uh, a lot of people who are starting to watch this on a regular basis have been asking me, where things are, because I did indeed miss a few days. Um, and I want to talk about that because missing a few days with you was also missing a few days with me, and it's really interesting as like just to observe what happens when sometimes technology got in the way and sometimes I got in the way. Sometimes I allowed my schedule to not open up uh, in creating time for this sort of decompression. And I'll tell you, it wasn't the best for my flow in the day. There's something really healing about this accountability and this discipline and this practice, and just sharing on a daily basis with you. So the good news is that you're all keeping me honest. You're keeping me on track, and I appreciate that insight and input along the way, and I encourage more and more of it. If something that came up in any different edition um, had some specific particular meaning for you that you'd want to share with me, that would be awesome too. Um, a lot of the time things just kind of come up in meditation. They come up in just overall understanding of things, and so I'm just wanting to have this be a two-way conversation, even though for the most part I'm the only one who gets in front of this webcam. So that being said, I'm still really in the zone of appreciating all the calm that is possible, all the peace that is possible from within. Um, and I want to talk about the true payoff, like what it means to actually experience peace. And I think I've said this a few times before. I think peace is way more than non-violence. There's something that is synergistic and lifting about peace. It's not just the absence of war; it is the presence of peace. And I feel like that is it's something that's worth diving into and understanding more deeply. And I don't profess to know all the answers. I can just say that when I find peace inside, it's not just like the absence of commotion. There's a lifting energy. There's an upward energy that makes much more possible, allows for deeper alignment with all that can be. Um, so I'm sure a multitude of books have been written trying to describe what this energy feels like. And maybe some describe it like a nirvana like experience, or um, just kind of at one with the universe. And I'm sure they're all right. And I feel like this is the other opportunity. Like, we get to decide what is right for us. There's a multitude of books, there's a multitude of frameworks that can partially explain phenomenon that other people have observed, and maybe it applies to your experience, maybe it doesn't. And I feel like this is really where we get to take perspective and to take inventory of what really works for us, and own that it's okay if someone else's framework doesn't apply to our lives and how we want to live them. So, I just think of all these different cultural differences that that we've experienced, that like that I've seen, as I get more and more worldly in my experience. Um, and some of the differences they actually divide, and some of the differences they invite conversation. Um, and it's just really interesting to see how that all flows. So, I feel like, for a long time, uh, even in the world of marketing, in the world of, um, profit or sales, um, I was taught to find things that differentiate. I was taught to embellish the uniqueness of whatever I was bringing to the table, whatever offering I was celebrating. And the question is, like, what makes you different than anyone else? And I don't know if that's a valid question anymore. I don't know if that's a pursuit or that's a framework that fits my way of being anymore. For the rest of my life, I really want to celebrate what makes us the same, what makes us connected, what makes us see eye to eye, and not eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, just eye to eye. Um, I think, it's really interesting. I don't know how much I've shared about the process I underwent to get coffee out of my life, and it's really interesting because I didn't decaffeinate my body. I just decoffeed my body, and it wasn't really, you know, based on any article that I read. It was based on the attachment I had to coffee and the relationship, and the hold it had on me and my life and my cravings, and really it was sort of an interruption. Um, and the more and more I got comfortable with the absence of coffee in my life, it's a really interesting analogy because I mean, you know, um, in a way, living a life of peace, it's very similar. Like, non-coffee is not just not having coffee in your life. It's actually what filled that space. What filled the space of coffee? It's kind of interesting. Um, and maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, maybe some articles would disagree with where I went with it. I replaced, coffee and a whole bunch of creamer and a whole bunch of sugar with tea and a whole bunch of honey. And for some reason, it doesn't even have to make sense scientifically. I just feel better. And not just better in the absence of coffee. I feel like I've been given a lift. Um, I had a personality that was caffeine aided or coffee aided, um, for a good part of my adulthood. And, in all honesty, I don't know what me would have shown up in any given situation if I didn't have my coffee in advance of that situation. And I can count years where that was my experience. Like, I didn't really do much before I launched my day with a cup of coffee. And the other thing, I don't even know how much I've communicated around this, that I got when I said goodbye to coffee,